New details have been revealed from Boston Bruins and Brad Marchand in free agency, and we want to talk about those when it comes down to it. But we also have to talk about the more recent updates that have come out from development camp from the Boston Bruins, including a very, very good upgrade on Dean Letourneau, as well as multiple updates on James Hagens and what his status remains for next season. We have so much to cover here in this video, ladies and gentlemen. Before we do get into it, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We're on the road to 8K with the ultimate big goal of 10K, and your guys' support has been absolutely incredible as of late. We appreciate you guys right now, and we're currently sitting at just over 7,000 subscribers, and we have a lot more news coming. You won't want to miss it, but let's get straight into this. I want to pull up a few quotes from RG Media, a couple more coming out about Brad Marchand and where he, kind of how close he was to the Boston Bruins come free agency, and when there was multiple reports coming out about Brad Marchand still considering the Boston Bruins. And I want to cover this one more time. I feel like this is actually now the final time we're going to talk about Brad Marchand, and I want to pull this up first. This came out during free agency a couple days ago. He's not ruled out the Bruins just yet. They will need to beat the Panthers' offer, which I was told earlier today was 4 years, $32 million, which is $8 million AAV on the contract. And the source told RG Media early Monday afternoon before he signed an extension with the Panthers. Now, that was where they currently stood, and of course, he did end up signing a $5 million deal with his team, which of course has to come down to no state tax and everything, but we can complain about that on another day because it is getting a very big problem in the NHL. But on a 6-year, $5.25 million deal, there's no chance he plays out the entirety of this contract, but it almost guarantees him free money. Now, coming out about this, more coming towards the whole idea of Brad Marchand in free agency, the Bruins would have had to beat the Panthers and also the Mammoth, which we're going to jump to in a minute, but this comes from RG Media. I don't know if Marchand ever considered still waiting until Tuesday to see if the Bruins would match because it's been known they weren't going to pass 4 years, and that source later told RG, the same one that we saw a few minutes ago, talk about the deal with the Florida Panthers. Now, when it came down to it, it was very interesting to see the Boston Bruins in on Brad Marchand and still willing to bring him back. Everybody had thought that ship has sailed, and according to RG Media, Jimmy Murphy, who runs that, it was not. And kind of coming back into it as well, when we do take a look at the offense, the direction they took was not one that Brad Marchand fit in. So it kind of made sense why the Bruins didn't go this direction. But the fact that they were thinking about it, and, the fact that the Tanner Jeannot signing wouldn't have been possible, Victor Arvidsson wouldn't have been possible, a lot of other of these signings would have been very difficult to make, goes to show that they don't really seem they were in on Brad Marchand for the entirety of the way. But when it came down to it, the Utah Mammoth were willing to give him $10 million. And according to reports in that RG Media article as well, thought I had the screenshot, but I actually do not. They were one of team that were, in the running for Brad Marchand, and at $10 million, the fact that he passed that up, one, to stay with the Florida Panthers, won the cup there, hard to kind of leave there, and you're also living in Florida. But two, it goes to show the state tax is something that, no state tax, I should say, is something that is almost ruining the NHL. So I just wanted to pull those up, kind of go over the idea and, how it was kind of going, because especially, when you look at that deal compared to what he was going to be given, some crazy stuff was going down. So let me know what you think about Brad Marchand there. I kind of want to get what you guys feel about this. Would you have been okay with Brad Marchand back in the team? The way this team looks now, the signings that Don Sweeney made, getting more understandable as the days go on, but still, Brad Marchand really wouldn't have made sense as much. I would have loved to see him back. But we need to jump in now to some very exciting news coming down throughout this development camp, and we've seen some very, very busy people here in this one, including James Hagens, another one, Dean Letourneau, someone who has been a very big target on his back the last little while about what's going to happen, and Scott McLaughlin tweeted this out today. James Hagens said there is still no decision on where he's playing next season. He has a meeting with the Bruins management today. This came out earlier, so this meeting likely should be done at this point now when this video comes out, but this is going to be a very interesting thing because obviously James Hagens is someone that we hope, and as much as we wanted to see him in the NHL, we have the hope he stays with Boston College. That is going to be the best for his development. There's no need to rush him. And Don Sweeney's come out. He's been out saying that, we're not going to rush this kid. We're excited to have him here. We're ready to have him here. But we want him another season. We want him fully developed before he gets to the Boston Bruins organization, not just Boston College. Because even staying local, it's even better getting an eye on him. Still being able to, get close work with Adam McQuaid and this development team for the Bruins. So it's not like you're playing across the country. You're local. You're in the city of Boston. It's a great decision for him. And I think this is one we need to run. But James Hagens came out and said this here today. He said, I want to be a Boston Bruin. I want to be a Boston Bruin really bad. That's the conversation that I have to have with the staff and the management. But just to be able to get my draft over and know what team that you're putting your heart and soul into, it's a lot better. Now, James Hagens is someone we knew we wanted. If he had dropped, he did. Everything played out well into the Bruins' hands. And we're starting to see more and more why this guy should have been picked earlier on and how lucky we are to have him drop into the Bruins' hands because his development, everything that he brings and stands for in a game is exactly what we want to see as Bruins fans and want to see him kind of turn into. And, he's going to be such an important piece of this team when it does come down to it and when he actually does crack this NHL roster sooner rather than later, because we know that he is going to be this number one center that we may have not gotten in some other names here that were in this draft around the Bruins' 7th overall pick. So we got to say, this is going to be a very exciting one, and what we've seen from development, he has been meeting every expectation and exceeding all of them. I think that's why this is such a, exciting thing to see as well over these past few days. And as we're getting to the scrimmages and whatnot, he's looked so good. And I do recommend going throughout. Don't have any clips here of him in specific on this one. I do want to have one of Dean Letourneau in a bit, but he's looking just unbelievable here so far in development camp. Now, we've also had Adam McQuaid come out and say some stuff about James Hagens, his development, and what role going back to Boston College could play. And this is what he had to say. I think in some way it's going to be benefit him, and that's gone Bruins player development coordinator Adam McQuaid said off Hagens playing with new line mates next season, continuing to ramp up the compete level and the consistent impact that he's capable of having. I think that's just the big thing. A lot of young players is just bring the consistency night in and night out. And that's one thing that, not just the Bruins, not just any team, but any NHL player, any young NHL player getting into this league, that's what's going to break you in, is consistency. And that's one thing James Hagens has shown last year, 34 points in 34 games, but we want to see more consistency. We want to see that continue and ramp up those points. I think that Adam McQuaid knows what he's doing, and he has a very good quote here behind that and kind of bringing in what's going to happen here with him next season. Now, another guy that we have speak about here is Dean Letourneau. He's someone that has been, last year, a bit of a reach on the pick, but one that we were excited about, one that we had hoped for, and ultimately didn't have the season we all wished to last season with Boston College. 37 games, I believe, 3 points, 3 assists. That was not great. But I see Adam McQuaid saying here he's very happy the steps Dean Letourneau has took at this camp. And during Bruins development camp, he looks healthy. And that's one thing that we have now found out he was not last year. He had a broken wrist, wasn't feeling well throughout the season, and now kind of looking at the way that we're seeing him play. And of course, as you see him going to be in front of the net here, I'll leave this run through a bit. This is today at Bruins development camp. He's using his hands a lot more. That's one thing we didn't get to see last year, is the handsy player that Dean Letourneau is. He likes using that long reach, and he didn't get it. You see him there in front of the net right now. That's what we're going to see in a Dean Letourneau. Getting fed in front of the net, multiple rebounds, and ultimately getting a goal from the defenseman there. This is what we're expecting to see with Dean Letourneau, and I think that this is going to be the guy that we're expecting to see. And, that's going to be a big bounce back this year, as well as what Adam McQuaid said, coming into the season, coming into the idea of what a new player is going to look like in Dean Letourneau. He's going to be a very big impact this year in Boston College, and it'll be interesting to see what they plan on doing, whether or not they're going to try these Boston Bruins players together, because we know we have multiple down at Boston College. Dean Letourneau being one, Oscar Jelvik being there, Christian Kostadinski being there, of course, James Hagens going there, William Moore going there. A lot of options the Bruins are going to have down there, and the Bruins, and not just the Bruins, but Boston College as well, going to have a lot of options to create a bit of chemistry there that will work out for years to come. So hopefully we see that work out in the Bruins' favor as well, but it's only a matter of time until we see these guys get back into the rhythm. Of course, we got the summer yet now, but we're going to see a lot of development throughout the offseason here, and maybe even some of these players get into an NHL roster next year, that being James Hagens. And whatever happens at the end of next season, it's only a matter of time until we see that happen. But that's all I got in this video. I want to know what you guys think. First of all, about the Brad Marchand stuff. One final update, I guess we can call it. I don't think we're going to hear much more until retirement. And I feel like I've been saying that every couple of weeks when we talk about him, but this is one that, it kind of seems like it's the end of the chapter, the end of the book. Now that he's officially signed with the Florida Panthers, almost no chance he comes back to the Boston Bruins before retirement. But I want to know what you think about that, as well as this development camp. It's been going well for the Bruins, and some of these players that we're keeping an eye on are absolutely excelling. So let me know about all that stuff. But that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.